William Morrow and Harper Audio present Invisible as Air, a novel by Zoe Fishman, performed by Susan Bennett, Chris Andrew Ciulla, and Maxwell Glick. Chapter 1. Sylvie. Sylvie opened her bleary eyes and stared at the ceiling. Beside her, her husband Paul snored intermittently, his broken ankle wrapped in its dirty beige cast. It was still dark outside, but a lone bird had begun to tweet, signaling morning's imminent arrival. She dreaded this day every year because of the memories that arrived alongside it, landing with an ominous thud right in the center of her chest. 3 years out, and it didn't get any easier to see it approaching on Teddy's school calendar, which hung lopsided on the side of the stainless steel fridge. Gingerly, Sylvie sat up and swung her legs over the side of their king-size bed, pausing for a moment to look at the clock. 5:13. Great. There were approximately 15 hours left to endure, give or take. In the bathroom, she ran a washcloth under ice-cold water and plunged her face inside its folds, relishing the shock of its impact. Holding her breath, she held it there for a few seconds, imagining that when she removed it, her face would be young again. Her left eyelid, with its startling new silly putty consistency, would regain its elasticity. The permanent brow furrow her cynicism had cost her would smooth. She removed the cloth, hopeful for just a moment. Instead, her 46-year-old self stared back at her. No, that wasn't fair, she thought next, grabbing her moisturizer from the shelf. She unscrewed its cap and took a generous scoop, massaging it vigorously into her cheeks, down over her chin, and back up over her closed eyes and forehead, before finishing with the sides, careful not to smudge it into her hairline. It wasn't all bad. She still had her big brown eyes, and even bigger eyebrows, full lips, and relatively lustrous head of black hair. She had never colored or straightened it, had barely blown it dry. And so she liked to think it was thanking her by staying shiny, with only the occasional gray surprising her. It hung in a wave against the faint outline of her collarbone beneath her olive, slightly rosy skin. Sylvie tried to smile at herself, but it felt too difficult, like the corners of her mouth were stapled to her chin. She sighed, pulling open the immense drawer of their marble-topped vanity to retrieve her eye cream. An orange bottle inside rolled toward her, click-clacking its way to the inside edge. She picked it up, considering its contents. Paul's pain pills. Say that 3 times fast. Paul's pain pills, Pop's paint pits. He had fallen from his bike, her triathlete husband, and broken his ankle just 2 weeks before, although it seemed like 2 years. Sylvie had discovered that it was one thing to mother your son, but quite another to mother your mate. She did not enjoy it, not one bit. Several times a day she had to remind herself that this invalid version of Paul, this person who moaned and groaned through even the slightest shift of the pillow beneath his foot, and frowned at the grilled cheese sandwich she made him for lunch claiming too many carbs, was not the real Paul. He was in pain, it was true, largely because he refused to take the pills she now held in her hand. "I don't like the way they make me feel," he had said to Sylvie, handing the bottle over to her. "And anyway, you've seen the news. Oxycodone, what do they call it, hillbilly heroin?" He shook his head, handing her the bottle. "Just give me some ibuprofen." "How do they make you feel?" Sylvie had asked. "What, those?" Paul nodded toward the bottle in her hand. "Groggy. Out of it." He wrinkled his nose. "Not good." "Okay, 3 ibuprofen coming up," Sylvie had replied, turning on her heel and walking toward the bathroom to retrieve them. What was wrong with feeling groggy and out of it, if all you were doing was sitting on the couch and telling people to bring you things? Sylvie wondered. You had to be cognizant for that?
Sample complete. Ready to continue?